Welcome to my introduction to power tools for women.
Bake that pop.
I have noticed something about men and DIY. Most of them have absolutely no idea what they're doing. And I have to say, I find this behaviour completely inspiring. You see, we need risk takers in this world. Now, maybe being a surgeon holding a human life in your hand might feel like a step too far. Or perhaps running into a burning building as a firefighter would just go against your gut instinct. Investment banking might feel plain reckless. But babe, if you want to build a dining table, I'm here to tell you, you can do it.
Bake that pop. Bake that pop. Bake that pop.
Hi, my name's Hannah Bennyhood. I'm an artist and an architect, and I love building things, whether it be art installations, furniture, or traditional DIY. I'm completely self-taught and still very much learning. Today I'm going to share with you some of my favourite power tools and the ones that I would recommend if you want to start building too. First, let me tell you how I got into building and why I specifically call this video Tools for Women. In 2017, I worked in the largest makerspace in Canada. When I was working there, I realised that less than 10% of our members were women, and even less were specifically in the woodshop. And the craziest thing is that I included myself in that. There was something holding me back from actually building and making myself. I couldn't quite put my finger on what that was, so I decided to arrange a women's maker meetup. I thought maybe a handful of women would turn up. I created the event and in 24 hours, 75 women signed up. I couldn't believe it, I was floored. We absolutely packed out the bottom floor of Maker Labs full of women who wanted to make. It was so strange because we had maker meetups all the time, but women didn't come. But when I called it a women's maker meetup, women turned up. So this is one of the things that I learned. You have to specifically say to women, this space is for you if you want them to enter a male-dominated space, hence the title of the video. There were two other factors that I noticed created a barrier for women making. A workshop is kind of like a gym in the fact that it's quite a performative space. People are watching what you're doing because we all use the same tools. And just like a gym, you don't want anyone looking at you, mortifying, head down, let me get on with it by myself. When you're the only woman in a woodshop, this feeling feels intense. And the last thing that I noticed, which I touched on at the beginning of the video, is the fear of failure. When you are learning how to build something, you are gonna get it wrong again and again and again and again, but I'm telling you, everything is fixable. And it was also in this job specifically where I realised how much men didn't have a clue. They were constantly breaking things, constantly redoing things, constantly YouTubing things to figure out how to do something. So off the back of this, I created a residency called Tools for Women. It invited women, female identifying and non-binary people to join together to learn how to use power tools. The residency acted as an education as well as a mentorship program, which really created an opportunity to learn and also the ability to have safety in numbers. This residency is still going 5 years later. I've got nothing to do with it anymore. I live in London and I can't tell you how proud I am of this legacy. The best thing about power tools when it comes to gender is that they are a great equalizer. Because power tools do all the hard work for you. If you, like me, have the upper body strength of an actual ant, you still have the ability to build as big as a burly builder, just using power tools. Basically, what I'm saying is, circular saws are tools of feminism, and I urge you to buy one and saw down the patriarchy, one DIY project at a time. My power tool collection has actually got a little out of hand, so I no longer keep them in this studio. I've begun to take over my dad's garage, so let's head there. Welcome to my workshop, aka my dad's garage. This is where I keep most of my tools. My dream one day is to have my own workshop. So let me walk you through my power tool collection. First things first, let's just start with the basics, shall we? A power drill. Everyone needs an electric cordless drill. If you don't have a drill, you can't come sit with us. I don't need to explain to you what a drill does. It makes holes, it screws things in. This is predominantly what you're going to use to put things together. As a rule of thumb, I would say when it comes to power tools, just buy the best that you can afford, because you're probably going to have them for like... What are you crying about? If you don't have a cordless power drill, definitely put it on your Christmas list. That's what I did, and I use it all the time. So this is definitely a basic thing for your kit. Okay, another drill. This drill is called an impact driver. An impact driver is similar to a normal drill, but it hammers as well as drills, which means it gives you a lot more power. So if I'm doing anything where I'm drilling into block work or into brick work, like for example when I was putting planters up on my balcony, my cordless drill just didn't have enough power, but an impact driver does. So this is super handy if you're doing DIY in places where you don't just have like stud walls, if you're really going into like something like concrete. So this is an impact driver. I wouldn't say you really need this at the beginning, but it's kind of good to have as you build up your collection of power tools. You'll probably buy an impact driver. Okay, so we have gone through drilling and screwing, so now you need to think about how you're going to cut things up. And so I think probably what a good starter saw is a jigsaw. So this is my dad's actually, because honestly I don't use jigsaws much, but you just have the body of the power tool and then like a little saw blade like this which goes into the power tool, and you can just follow a line and cut up any timber. Personally, I don't rate jigsaws. I really don't use them that often. They're really good if you're doing things like curves, but if I'm ever doing anything curved, I usually do it through a CNC router, which is another video for another day. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of like, I would say, a good starter saw. Personally, I love circular saws. They're my favourite kind of saws. I have 3 different kinds and I'll go through them with you. So this was the first circular saw that I bought, and it's quite a cheap brand, but honestly it's done me really well. And this is so versatile. It's not that big or bulky, so like if you live in a flat you can just like keep it in a cupboard. And it's super great for doing all kinds of things. So you can rip up big sheets of plywood with this. You can do angles with this. You can do plunge cuts with this, which means you can cut right in the middle of the sheet of wood. And I found this saw to be so flexible. The shelves that I made in my studio, I made with a circular saw and a drill. These are the only 2 power tools that I use to make those shelves. Honestly, if you have these 2 things, you have the ability to cut wood up and you have the ability to put it back together again. This was the next one I bought. This is a chop saw. Can you see it from there? I think you can. So this saw is similar, as it's got like a circular blade just like the other one, but it lives on this rig basically. And this is why I bought this chop saw. If you're doing loads and loads of repetitive cuts, this chop saw is super handy. Because it's all kind of like set up for you, and it has a laser level which makes it really easy to decide exactly where you're sawing. This is the kind of saw that looks more intimidating than it is. It's actually super user friendly. You just put any material that you have on this base, and then you basically just push the saw down, and then you push it into the base and it cuts all your material. So I bought this saw when we were doing skirting boards and picture rails at Bexhill Art House, because we were doing loads and loads and loads. I could just set this up at a 45-degree angle and just chop, 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 which is a lot quicker than getting the circular saw, which is how we started using it, setting everything up and like making your own mini jig and then manually pushing the saw back and forward. This is super handy. The only annoying thing about it is it's just a bit massive, so this was like the first bit of kit that I started leaving at my dad's garage, and then it's all escalated out of control a little bit. Definitely not like an essential piece of kit, but it is super handy if you've got the room and you're doing that kind of repetitive work. My most recent saw purchase is this Makita saw. Oh my god, it was so expensive, but 100% worth it in my opinion. It is a track saw. Now, on the surface, this might look very similar to the circular saw, but the difference with this and the circular saw is that it has this kind of bottom plate here, which sits within a track, and that's why it's called a track saw. Where has the track gone? I feel like buying power tools is kind of like any hobby. You start to get a bit addicted to it and start buying more and more things. You're like, oh, maybe I could use that, or maybe I can use this. So this is the track for the track saw. And what this means is that basically, if you're doing large sheets or large cuts, you can just lay this exactly where you want it, and then the saw will seamlessly glide along the track and cut up your material. And the reason why I bought this is because it's really hard to cut a straight line. I find it so difficult. And when I was doing the deconstructed disco, I was cutting up these triangles and they had to fit together to make pyramids. And when I use my circular saw, it can have a slight wobble to it, which is very charming, but you know, it's not what I was looking for particularly in this project. Up next, an electric sander. I hate sanding. I hate sanding so much. And I have to do quite a lot of it because I make a lot of mistakes. And honestly, I don't think there's anything that can't be rectified with a bit of wood filler. But then after you've used wood filler, you then gotta sand it all. So this is a mouse sander, super easy, just little handheld one. You just change the sandpaper like that. I mean, that's it, it's not technical. And these will just make your life 75 times easier instead of just sitting there with your hand sandpaper wishing to die. So yeah, mouse sanders, really good. This hasn't got a battery in, but this is a nail gun. Again, nail guns are just so quick and easy to use. You literally push it up against the material and just fire the trigger and a nail goes pew, like straight into your timber. If you imagine if you're hammering stuff in, you usually need like two hands, something to hold the nail and then something to hammer it in. This means you can kind of work one-handed. You can just hold the piece of material to the wall, for example, if you're doing skirting, and then just with the other hand, you can just go bang, 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 and nail these in. I mean, the difference between using this and actually like hammering nails in individually is huge. I mean, it just saves so much time. What I did is I hired one first to see like if I liked it, if I could use it well, and then within a day I said to Jake, oh my god, we have to buy one of these, like this is so helpful. I highly recommend hiring power tools before you commit the money, and then you'll kind of know whether you like the tool, whether it's worth investing in, or if you only need it for a weekend and you'll never need it again, then you don't need to buy it. Okay, last but absolutely not least is the multi-tool. I can't believe it's taken me so many years to get this tool into my life. I love it. It is so versatile. I only just bought this a couple of months ago and I wish I've had it for years. So this is the multi-tool, and basically this body here has this little attachment and you can attach all kinds of different things to this. It could be a mini sander like this. It could be a little saw like this, and this little saw is so brilliant for like cutting little notches into stuff. It's got its own little mini circular saw as well, so this is good for if you want to go along material and cut like a teeny tiny circular saw. It has a scraper attachment as well, and I was very excited about this. It even has a mini angle grinder, which means you can cut up metal. It is small, but it'll be perfect, for example, if you know, sometimes if you're screwing something together and then the screw sticks out the other side and you don't want it there, just cut the end of the screw off with this. That will absolutely do the job. These are my top 3 picks if you're just beginning with power tools. Number 1, an electric drill. Number 2, a circular saw. And number 3, a multi-tool. You will be able to build things large and small just with these 3 tools. And honestly, the world is your oyster. I have just finished editing. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you're looking for some other women who really know what they're doing, I highly recommend you check out Laura Kampf, Simone Yetch, C. Jane Drill, and Get Hands Dirty. I'll leave all their links in the description, and they are some awesome women that are making stuff on YouTube, and I watch them all the time. Until next time, take care.
Bake that pie. Pull up, hop out, then I bake that pie. Bake that pie.